How do you build a shoe from scratch in China with no contacts, no prototype, and no idea what you're doing? Sounds kind of insane, right? Well, that's exactly what this American apparel brand tried to do. They had a dream, a premium shoe that looked as good as it performed, something that actually represented their brand. But here's the kicker. They had no experience in footwear, no manufacturers, and no clue how to even start. And to make things worse, they weren't just trying to save money. They also wanted top-tier quality, a unicorn project with a countdown clock. Time was running out, the brand was gaining traction, and they knew a product delay would cost them momentum. So what do you do when you're totally out of your depth and still expected to pull off something great? Let me show you how they actually did it. So here's what they wanted: a premium shoe, sleek, durable, and totally unique. Something that looked expensive but didn't cost like it. Basically the Tesla of shoes. And to their credit, the vision was clear. They knew the styles that they liked. They knew the vibe that they were going for. But when it came to actually building it, nothing. No tech packs, no CAD drawings, not even a prototype. Just some reference photos and a whole lot of ambition. And let's be real here, developing a shoe isn't like printing a t-shirt. There's material engineering, tooling, fit testing, durability checks, and every mistake costs time and money. Worse, they had zero experience in manufacturing, no relationships in China, and no clue as to where to begin. It was a brand with potential, but no roadmap. And if they didn't figure it out fast, their great idea, it was staying on the whiteboard. At this point, they were stuck, too far in to quit, but nowhere close to making a shoe. And that's when they realized something crucial. You don't just need advice, you need someone on the ground who knows how China works. So they partnered with a Beijing-based team who didn't just give them tips, they took over the process. That team hit the ground running, sourcing manufacturers, auditing factories, running numbers, and eventually they narrowed it down to 2 real contenders. Now, here's where it gets smart. They didn't just pick whoever was cheapest. They ranked suppliers on 5 things. Communication, because ghosting isn't a strategy. Factory capabilities, because tours tell you more than brochures ever will. Production capacity, can they scale? Pricing, tooling, per unit cost and freight, and most importantly, quality. Because if your sample falls apart in the wear test, it doesn't matter how cheap it was, it's already too expensive. Now here's where the real pain starts. Prototyping. Most people think that this part is fun. Sketch something cool, get a sample back, tweak it a little, and boom, you're done. Nope, not even close. This took 46 versions. 46. That's not design, that's psychological warfare. Each revision came with decisions. Change the stitch pattern, that affects the upper's tension. Use a softer insole, great, now the outsole doesn't line up. Want better rubber? You're blowing up the cost structure. It's a domino chain of tweaks, delays, and second guessing. The supplier sent 5 full rounds of wearable samples, and each time the brand would test them, wear them, analyze everything, then send back feedback that sparked even more changes. It was exhausting, not just for the brand, but for the supplier too. One side wanted perfection, and the other side wanted progress. The feedback cycles dragged on, sample revisions took longer than they expected, and with every round, the pressure to deliver mounted. And here's the twist. This is normal. Great products aren't built on the first try. They're battled into existence, and every painful revision brought them one step closer to a shoe that finally felt right. Now, if there's one thing this brand wouldn't compromise on, it was quality. They wanted premium fabric for the upper, durable high-grade rubber for the sole, and consistency across every single pair. The problem? You can't guarantee that by email. That's why having boots on the ground in China made all the difference. The Beijing team managed factory visits, material checks, and real-time updates. Every week there were video calls with the supplier, progress reports, sample photos, even live walkthroughs of production changes. And when the client needed to make a call, like choosing between 2 rubber formulations, they weren't guessing. They had test results, visuals, and expert input right in front of them. This wasn't just communication, it was control. And in overseas manufacturing, that's the difference between a good product and a great one. After months of back and forth, things finally started clicking. The prototype was locked, the materials were approved, and the client had something that they could actually hold, wear, and show off. But they didn't stop there. The supplier helped finalize the packaging, custom design, brand align, shelf ready. They coordinated with the logistics for salesmen's samples to ship overseas, and once everything was greenlit, the client placed the first bulk order. At that point, it was more than just a product. It was proof that even without experience, even without a blueprint, you can build something real. It took 7 months, 46 iterations, and an international team aligned with one vision. But now the shoe wasn't just a concept, it was a market-ready product, ready to scale, ready to sell, and ready to represent the brand at its best. Looking back, the biggest wins didn't come from speed, they came from process. The team learned that great product development needs more than just ambition. It needs structure, patience, and the right partners. Timelines, they do matter, but buffer time matters more. Rushing to market with the wrong product is a way bigger risk than being a few weeks late with the right one. They also learned the value of a supplier who actually gets your vision, someone who listens, communicates, and doesn't just ship what's easiest. That kind of partnership isn't just helpful, it's a multiplier. And finally, if you want to build something great overseas, don't do it blind. Having experts on the ground isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Because this shoe, it's not just something you wear, it's the result of doing the hard work right. If you found this breakdown helpful, please be sure to hit that like button. It really helps out the channel. I've got more real-world case studies coming soon, and you're not going to want to miss them. For more behind-the-scenes stories just like this one, make sure to subscribe. If you're new to sourcing, be sure to check the link in the description box below for how you can get your ideas up and running with your own sourcing team in China to turn your whiteboard dreams into real products. And I will see you in the next one.